Welcome to a more just and merciful world. I'm Kathy Humphrey, and I serve as the president of Carlow University. On this podcast, we talk to leaders, teachers, artists, scientists, and historians from around the globe to explore how to bring more justice and mercy in our own world. Today, I am so privileged and so honored to talk to our brand new mayor, Mayor Corey O'Connor. Welcome to our podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know we've been scheduling for a while, so I'm glad we made it work.
I am too. I'm so glad to have the opportunity to talk to you and to give our listeners an opportunity to hear your voice and hear a little bit more about who you are, what you want to accomplish, and to kind of collide that work with the work that we're doing at Carlow as well. So again, thank you for being here. Yeah. And let me just start out by saying, how in the world did you decide, I want to be the mayor?
Well, I mean, I think it's timing is everything in life, not just in politics, but politics especially, it's timing. So, you know, I think growing up in a household where there was a mayor, seeing the good that you can do and the change that you can make, and then I think having the background on council and then being the controller, saw an opportunity where I thought Pittsburgh was a little stagnant, and how do we get some new life and some new ideas coming back into our local government, and took the chance, knocked on thousands of doors, and here we are.
Here we are. But if I remember correctly from your bio, you went to Duquesne to be an elementary school teacher.
I did. Everybody's like, does that help? I said, it actually does help in politics a little bit more than you think. But yeah, no, so that's why I went from there. I still coached at Central for 17 years. And, I think there's so much you can do within classrooms that we don't talk enough about. And I mean, obviously you guys are creating, the next leaders in our region here. So it's important that I think the mayor's job is always going to a classroom, talking to kids, any age, just about the city. And I think that's very important. And we've started a good relationship with PPS, which I think is helpful. If you're going to grow a city,
that's right,
you need educational institutions to do it.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think it's very beneficial to have that background, actually.
Well, that's great, right? Yeah. I think as an educator myself, I do think there is so many advantages to having the background of how to help people understand, because that's what teachers do, right? They help people understand information so that they can use it effectively, and that's in actuality what you've got to do every day. I hadn't thought about it that way quite.
Oh yeah, I mean, you have to, some of the stuff, like we can talk in government talk, but it's hard to relate, and even some of the acronyms I ask, wait, stop and explain that acronym to me, because there's too many. So I think, as you said, being an educator is very helpful, just to relay a simple message in so many ways, and I think that's beneficial to a lot of people.
Yeah. So what did your family think when you said, I think I want to be a mayor?
Well, the kids are a little young. They didn't really know.
Right.
But my wife was the final decision maker, and we looked at it. We knew it was going to be difficult. I've ran campaigns before, but obviously mayor's a little bit different.
Yeah.
But she said, look, this opportunity might not come around again, so you got to jump on it, and we're all here to support you. And here we are. And she's actually done amazing work when it comes to talking about education. She's on Literacy Pittsburgh's board, and then we've had roundtables about literacy, about the Homeless Children's Fund, various groups and organizations that she's actually taking a huge lead on, which is helpful.
Wonderful.
Which is helpful. It's good to have a good partner when you do this stuff.
It's good to have a good partner, period.
Yes.
Right? I tell people that often, because we're in a kind of a generation where people are like, I don't, I'm going to go it alone, but boy, having a good partner makes a huge difference. And I've seen you guys out many times because we go to lots of galas, don't we?
Oh, we do. There's one a night if you actually want to do them. Yes.
And so I know she's always right there, and so I know that's really helpful because she's in this as much as you are, and helpful is such an advantage.
Oh yeah, and I think her background. She's a lawyer, but her background went to Cornell, Pitt Law School. Very interested in literacy and the next generation. And I think that's key because we have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. So, to be able to balance home life and work life for both of us is a little hectic, but we managed to make sure we're up in the morning. I make not that I cook that much breakfast, but when I do, I can make egg sandwiches if they'll eat them. But usually it's a waffle and peanut butter.
Okay.
Eggos save the day every time. But then I think at night, making sure, I don't have events every single night because I can. And I think it's just a balance of how you make that work.
You're talking about something now that I hear a lot in the workplace. And I think it's interesting that you've brought this whole notion of work-life balance. I hear that term, quite honestly, I hear it more than I want to hear it, but it must be heard. And I also know you also did some legislation around sick leave as well. And so I want you to talk a little bit more about how you're balancing your personal life with this huge job.
Yeah, I think it's, one day at a time. But when you get time with the kids, try to put the phone down and just zone out. And staff has been really good. On the schedule, when we first started, on Saturday and Sunday, there was NP, and they were like, what is that? And it's like, that's nap time for the kids, not for me. I wish. But we try to go around that schedule so I can get home to be helpful with that. Yeah. And then bedtime's between 7:30 and 8. Mm-hmm. So try to make it home from events so you get to see everybody. And then in the morning, usually it's not too bad. Occasionally we'll have some 8 a.m. meetings, but we try to do 8:30 so we can make sure we drop the kids off and then drive down to work together. But it's a balance, yeah.
So you are using the technique of really scheduling the balance.
Yeah, I think you have to, or else, and again, not that our schedulers know our time now, but if you're not used to it and you're just, okay, the mayor, they've invited you to this at 2 o'clock on a Saturday, okay, we're RSVPing. Well, wait, no, that's home time. So it's good to have it on the schedule because then we can go around those times. Right. And I think it's also good that, the public knows that, hey, here's my hours, here's my time.
This is what I can do.
It's all flexible. Right. So, community meetings, obviously, we know that's going to sometimes run long, and we just plan. If I make it home, I make it home. Right. But if not, we'll make it up to the kids in other ways.
Yeah. Well, I know how important nap time is because I'm a grandmother. I have a 4-year-old
grandson.
Nap
time is very important.
And our world goes upside down if we miss nap time. We're just off. So I understand.
And that's why you mentioned paid sick leave. That's why we pushed for it and went all the way to the PA Supreme Court. It's important for parents that are just starting a new job that if they don't have time off and their kids are sick, you have to have that balance for employees too.
They have to. Yeah. That's so important. So in doing the work that you do, there's a lot of needs in Pittsburgh, and I love this city, and so many people who live here do, and clearly you do, right? But as you think about what do we need to do to make really, I know you have plans to increase our ability to draw in additional businesses, and what do you think at the core? What do we need to do to really elevate our city? And you'll feel like when you're done being mayor, you'll look back and say, I did a good job.
Yeah, I think there's a lot. You could start with housing, balancing budgets, buying the proper equipment. But I also think it's the small things that people forget about, and we've forgotten for a very long time, and because details actually matter. So when you're going in a business district and there's kiosks that used to have newspapers 20 years ago, why are they there? Throw them away. Yeah. Why is a directional sign that was up in the 90s still faded and half falling down? Throw it away. I think the small details actually matter to people in building their own pride back. Mm-hmm. But then also looking at storefronts and seeing how do we get entrepreneurs, letting everybody know that Pittsburgh's open for everyone. Mm-hmm. And we have to start getting resources back into communities that haven't seen it in a long time. Mm-hmm. So I can give you a very long answer, but the short, simple one is the small things actually matter to people. Mm-hmm. And they notice it, especially when you have constituents that are calling because the neighbor's garbage, is out too early. The small things that people like to argue about actually do make a big difference. Yeah. When you take your kids to a playground and the slide doesn't work, that's going to impact you on a daily basis. The The bigger, large picture stuff, it's harder to summarize that quickly, but small things you can actually control, you have to really focus on.
It is a big deal, right? And, when I drive onto the highway and I see litter and I just think, right? Because I honestly, wouldn't have thought about that until you said that. I had some guests once and they said, well, it's kind of, there's trash. And I thought, oh, I'm not seeing it, right?
And that's the shame, is sometimes you got too used to it.
We've gotten used to
Right,
it.
but then somebody that never sees Pittsburgh before, and if you want them to stay here and you have a new family and I want you to stay in one of our neighborhoods and not go somewhere else.
Right.
That's the stuff that you see every day.
Right.
That bothers you to say, hey, why can't somebody fix that?
Right. And that's all a part of creating a better Pittsburgh. But it's not just you, it's all of us that have to work towards that. And as you think about the kind of partners you need, right? What do you need universities to help you do?
Oh, I think selling the city. Obviously, you got students to come here. But then I think our job is you're preparing them for their next wave. Well, what are those waves that we might not have in Pittsburgh that we should be looking towards? We have most industries here anyways, but is there something that we are not building for those students that are about to graduate? And how do we keep them here? Everybody wants to go to New York, Chicago, LA, it's the big thing, but in reality, you're going to get more bang for your buck leaving school in Pittsburgh than you will there. Absolutely. And we have culture. I think the universities, to allow us to have time to talk to the students about why are you going to leave if you are going to leave. If you're not, great, what can we do to help you when you do choose to stay here? But a lot of the experiences you're going to have in other major cities, you can have in Pittsburgh. And it's easier to get around. You can probably afford to buy a house relatively younger here than in other places. But we have to do a better job of building more housing too, and multiple styles of housing. We need 6,000 affordable units, probably 10,000 market rate units. But we have to build as much as we can so that students can start affording to buy someplace, not just to rent, but to own. Even our own residents. Right now it costs probably $500,000 to renovate a lot and build from scratch. How do we get that down to $200,000?
Right.
So that's a lot of capital we want to invest in cleaning out lots, waiving tap-in fees, all the small things, because we know creating generational wealth is owning your own home. And we know that there's a lot of people out there that haven't been able to do that. So how do we cut the cost from government so that you can do that? But I do think for students, you have the ability to do any type of workforce you're looking for right here in Pittsburgh.
So when you think about workforce, because this is an area that Carlo works on a lot. I'm constantly going to partners to say, what do you need? What professions am I not providing you that you really need? And that's how we ended up starting our LPN program. Our surgical tech program came out of really finding out that, hey, there's not enough surgical techs and we are canceling surgeries because we don't have enough surgical techs. We started a surgical tech program. All of our graduates stayed in Pittsburgh.
Even better.
From that first cohort. I hope the next cohort, I hope they're listening to me. I hope the next cohort all stay in Pittsburgh as well. But I've been able to partner with the hospitals to provide assistance to those students so that they will stay here and go into their. But when you think about that, if you would say to me, okay, here are some jobs that I think we need to really try to beef up in Pittsburgh. The workforce is really declining in X, Y, or Z areas. So, Kathy Humphrey, if you're going to create a new major, it should be X because we really need it. Is there anything that comes to your mind right away?
There's a lot, as you said. There's things that are very specific and technical that's in an industry that, again, hospitals, we know that's here. Engineers, also another great institutions that we have in Pittsburgh. Banking, another one that we have where there's a lot of opportunities for you to stay in Pittsburgh. So those are sort of the anchor tenants. But then going a little bit further, away from just AI, we know AI is a next big boom and training individuals for that. I would say if you have people that are interested in being entrepreneurs, because we have space. So if you're now somebody that's interested in culinary school, or you want to start your own small business, even if it's a yoga studio, something, something like that, we have space and land that can accommodate you that other cities can't. And we can put you right in the heart of downtown or right in the heart of a neighborhood. So there's a lot we can do there. And then obviously I think trades are still another one. We're always short. Our unions always constantly are out there looking for people, whether you're a steam fitter, a carpenter, a plumber. We need those type of hands-on workers as well. Yeah.
So universities don't usually think about the trades so much, but actually I have to tell you that I am working with one of our car dealership owners to potentially look at should we create a degree for automotive
100%.
technician,
yeah.
because automotive technicians are not what we used to think of them as. These are people who are managing computers and complicated systems.
I agree.
So the world is changing, even from the standpoint of what we think of when we think of higher education.
Yeah.
So I'm with you that we may not think about universities for some of the trades, but the trades are changing right?
Yeah, it's every day, and you need, as you said, even to work on a car, there's so many sensors and computers, and it's a whole different world than
it really
a Ford
is.
way long ago. It's
right?
a little bit different. Yeah.
So we're looking into that as well. But I do think it's interesting that you talked about this whole notion of entrepreneurial, because oftentimes we work with students to gain skills to go and work for somebody. I mean, that's what we do, right? But maybe we should really think a little bit more about, we try to create kind of an entrepreneurial spirit in them, but we don't really do a lot about, we don't have an entrepreneurial major here.
Yeah.
And I don't know of very many schools that have.
There's not many, and
Right.
I think that's where entrepreneurs usually go into some sort of spin-off or an incubator for a while out of a university, and then figure out, wait, I have to balance my budgets, I have to get space, how much is rent, all that background, people don't think of until they go out and try, or maybe they go somewhere else for a couple years and then they try it.
Right.
But I think for us in Pittsburgh, when we have space, we have to utilize it.
Right.
And it's vacant space for artists. It's, being able to renovate a storefront. Like, small things go a very long way.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. You have got my mind
Good, see?
away to say, how can I do that? Because can I get students to think about that while they're in school?
Yeah.
Can I get students to think about potentially creating some kind of businesses that could, that they would draw them into Pittsburgh, number one, but also would really help them even finance their education, because that's a real
big one.
need for us as well. So when you think about, let's talk about children, because children is big part of your life right now, and when you think about how we're educating the children in our city, I was really pleased to hear that you have developed a good relationship with Pittsburgh Public Schools. We of course do as well, because we train a lot of their teachers, right? A lot of their teachers' aide come here to get their teaching degree, and childcare.
It's a big one, and actually when I was on council, we put $2 million aside, first time ever, $2 million aside for capital to open up slots in childcare. Early childcare is one of the hardest things we could do, and I think for that, as the mayor, you're looking to corporations and other leaders who have tax credits that aren't being used on childcare, and bridging those gaps. And that's why my wife Katie had a roundtable discussion about this, and what are some small things we can do? I mean, it's millions and millions of dollars to get childcare slots. But I think if there's some way to let people know that, especially corporations, use your tax credits to benefit your local neighbors or residents, so that kids and parents have places to go.
It's big. It's big. Right now we are trying to get some of those tax credits to provide more children opportunities to go to our because we educate people here from 0 to 82.
That's
you
a
may
good
not
thing,
have known that. We just had a woman graduate at 82 years old. It was pretty
Congrats,
cool.
Yeah.
But the reality is that we could do more for our community if we could get some of those tax credits.
Yeah, you're helping
right?
out parents, you're helping out kids, and we all know, early childhood, literacy is the biggest
huge.
situation that we see, especially when you get to first to third grade.
That's right.
We know the kids are struggling
Right.
in that area, and that's
And,
scary for the future. Yeah.
Right, and they say if the child's not reading by third grade, the chances of them going to college diminish dramatically,
Yeah.
and the chances of them graduating from high school diminish dramatically. So making sure those children can read by third grade is really important. And the thing I'm most proud of is that our children here do extremely well at Carlo. But on the flip hand side of it, we've got two problems, right? We want to be able to draw more children in from the community, and we could take more children in from the community if we could get those tax credit. The other piece of it for me that's always been a concern for me is that we don't pay early childhood people across
Not even
the
enough,
nation,
yeah.
or even teachers enough across the nation to do something that's so crucial to our future, and that is to educate our children. So, that's another thing I would love to be able to do here is pay teachers better, right?
Yeah. Well, also we have to start looking at when you're talking about housing, are there incentive programs where you could do teacher, nurses, police, fire, EMS, subsidize those individuals when you're talking about building 200 units somewhere. So
Right.
get creative. It hasn't really been done before.
Yeah.
And I would love to sort of pilot something in
Yeah.
Pittsburgh where you could subsidize artists as well. Like all of these individuals
that would be
that need
amazing.
some type of subsidy to get them started, but it balances out because, as you said, teachers aren't getting paid nearly enough.
Mm-hmm.
How do you balance that out? And then from our standpoint, because we don't control the schools, how do we use our rec centers differently so that maybe we can try to get one open from 7 to 9 in the morning so parents have a place to drop their kids off. They get a hot meal from us, then they go to school. So trying to demo programs like that, using our rec centers in the evening that are vacant spaces. Why are we not reaching out to you to say, hey, do you have a performer that would come and sing at our rec center on a Thursday night? And even if 5 kids show up, it's 5 kids that are now getting involved in arts. And, it can be science, it can be anything. But utilizing empty space is something we have to do. And I think that's the biggest partnership moving forward, what we can all do.
I love that idea of subsidizing those people who we value everybody. This is the essence of creating more justice, right? And providing some kind of subsidy, housing subsidy for teachers, housing subsidy for artists, for those people who we as a society just have not paid well, right?
Yeah.
And so I would love it if we could get that done, and anything I can do to help you create
That's
more
good.
justice
Yeah.
in that regard, I would be so happy to do that, because I do think that this is an issue, not just for me, but for our entire city, of how we look at especially early learning workers. Can we do something to create more justice for the people who are holding our babies?
Yep.
And really setting the foundation for them to thrive for the future. Well, you got your hands full, and I say you, but it's we.
It's we. I say we all the time.
We have our hands full, but I do believe that that you're going to make a tremendous difference.
Well, no, thank you.
Right.
Thanks for having me, and continue your great work
Absolutely.
here. Hopefully the construction is almost done on Fifth Avenue, and everybody gets back to a little
Someday.
easier commutes. Yeah, one of these days.
Some days it'll
But I think
be
there's a lot
done.
of momentum right now.
Yes.
And I think that's the benefit.
Yes, you're right. I think there's a lot of momentum. We're very fortunate with everything that goes on in Pittsburgh. It's still, I think, one of the best places on the planet.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm grateful to be in this work with you, and I look forward to talking with you more.
Yeah, no, thanks
and,
for having me.
Hearing
Yeah.
anything that Carlo can help you do, please let us know.
Will
Thanks
do.
for being with me.
No, thanks
All
again
right.
for having us. Yeah.